Welcome, all real friends of football. We have a week 8 recap that we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about the hottest AFC team, hottest NFC team. Talk about McDaniels being fired, along with the hottest games of the week. I think this is the hottest week of games so far this year. There's a lot of potential playoff matchups that could actually be a real deal down the road. We'll go over those. 49ers cashing in on Chase Young. And we're also going to talk about, what's up with the 49ers, where you at with the 49ers. And then lastly, the topic that I'm probably going to be too excited for. I probably need to chill, honestly. Desmond Ritter being fired. I mean, pretty much, I guess,
Miles
fired from the.
just he loves the downfall of Desmond Ritter now.
No. And I guess we could start here. That's not it. It's the objective analyses of saying he needs to be benched, making a video on it, posting this video, and then have you? I didn't even know there were this many Atlanta Falcons fans. A, and then B, it's like, God, like, open your eyeballs. Like, are you that loyal to cons?
I was gonna say when we make videos like this, and we're putting this on the podcast channel, but for those listening, we have a main channel that has 30,000 subscribers, and we post videos on there recapping teams and stuff. And one thing I did notice is just how extremely biased some people can be about players, teams, everything, and they just stand still on their takes. So
It's an inability to objectively hold your favorite player accountable. I guess that's what it is. It's like, there are times where Joe Burrow, he's the reason why I blame Joe Burrow on us not beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship last year. Like, I think it's his fault. He had 2.5 minutes to go down the field and score, and he didn't. He failed. He messed.
yeah,
He
y'all
wasn't him.
y'all didn't score any points in the fourth quarter, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe three, I don't remember, but
He didn't do his job. I held him accountable. Desmond Ritter has a game where he has 4 fumbles and I think 2 interceptions or something like that, or 3 fumbles and 2 interceptions. And people are like, "Oh, you didn't see the game because of how he fumbled or why he fumbled." I'm like, the ball was in his hands, and then it was not where it needed to be. And I know I saw one in the first half, clearly his fault. And then the interceptions were also his fault. And even Kyle Pitts last week had this amazing catch, or 2 weeks ago, that is. But the pass was like at his hip, like it was a,
yeah, he caught it like behind his back or whatever.
yeah. I'm like, dude, he's too massive to be doing that. Like,
Well,
honestly,
Desmond Ritter has all of the weapons around him to be a great quarterback. He sat 1 year under Marcus Mariota. Come in here like your second year. You got Bijan Robinson, a top 7 offensive line. You got Tyler Algier. Even Jonnu Smith has been good. Kyle Pitts, Drake London. There's absolutely no reason why this guy shouldn't have some sort of success.
you saw offense come alive when Heineke got out there. Like,
Yeah.
it was a completely different offense. Like, the box in the first half was just stacked with people. Bijan wasn't getting any running lanes. He was like, no favors were being done, and it looked like the offensive line was terrible. They looked like they were bad in that first half. But as soon as Heineke gets behind center, it's a mutual respect. Whoever the defensive coordinator is for Atlanta, he immediately opened up the box and was like, okay, no, Heineke's a dude, and he can make smart sparks. He's not an idiot. Like, and then the offense started to really come alive. You saw these Isaiah Hodge like had this big play. Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith definitely got more acclimated and involved. And so I don't know, man. It was just like, and like we told y'all, like, it was a thing of last in week 7 after that embarrassing game. What was it? The Titans, like, and they won. And he won
against a rookie quarterback in Will Levis also.
Wait, no, this was.
Oh, you're talking about another game?
I'm talking about 2 weeks ago where it was 16-13. The Falcons won the game, but that's when Ritter was just.
Oh, is it the Bucks?
Bucks, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that game was that could have been a way more convincing win.
Yeah.
If Heineke was in there from start to finish, it's like Bucks probably get like fucking blown out.
This is something that people from the outside, I feel, predicted that Heineke would come in at some point, right? And then the other thing too is the Falcons were my NFC South champs coming into the season. I predicted the Falcons. And so, yeah, we're talking about it, but we see guys like Stroud, Bryce Young, they don't have the same weapons, or he had a year to sit under Mariota. And then the other thing too, this is another thing that I've been listening to. When we talk about COVID and all that kind of stuff, we just didn't get a real talent evaluation of a lot of these guys that we have in the past. And Ritter was kind of drafted in that kind of awkward area to where he could have been overdrafted. And he also was drafted in a bad quarterback class. And so a lot of these teams were a lot more needy when it came to QBs. I mean, we look at a guy like Malik Willis. Is he maybe like an undrafted guy, 7th rounder, and he went in the 3rd round? And then Kenny Pickett, he's not a 1st rounder. Whether he's been doing decent or not, he's not a 1st round talent. So
if the quarterbacks of that draft that you just kind of illustrated, Kenny Pickett, Will Levis, Desmond Ritter, if they were in this upcoming draft up next,
yeah,
and let's say Shador, he enters it, let's say Quinn enters it, like
these guys would be like the 12th best quarterback in the draft.
I mean, Kenny Pickett is already 100% pocketed into like the 3rd to 4th round, like off rip, like that's his maximum 3rd and 4th round. And then you legit probably have Will Levis and Desmond Ritter, probably Ritter's 6th round because his intangibles, he's so tall, they like maybe we can do something.
Ritter's a backup QB to me.
Ritter's a backup quarterback, and that's all I was telling this Falcons fan base. And I get it. You put your faith into a 3rd rounder. That's your fault. Like, don't do that. Have some common sense. Like, and like I saw comments of like, oh wow, this guy actually thinks like 3rd rounders can't be the guy. Yeah, when they're not the guy. It's clear as day he wasn't the dude, and he's a 3rd rounder. Like, don't say he's playing bad and he's a 3rd rounder so he has a chance to be great.
Well, the other thing too is he plays the most important position in football. We're not talking about a 3rd round running back or a 3rd round corner or whatever. We're talking about a quarterback.
It's the Tom Brady 6th round thing. It's like that's the end all be all, but it's clear as day that this Falcons team, like, and another thing I'll think about, I was thinking of this and then we'll move on to
and another thing also, when the draft was coming around, we were having legitimate conversations about the Falcons picking a quarterback in the draft. At least we did.
Yeah.
What pick were they? 8th pick? And they, of course, they went Bijan, so that's fine, whatever. But I mean, if Anthony Richardson fell all the way to pick 8, I mean, we're taking that guy. That team looks a lot different with Rich. So
yeah, they would have had to taken him. But the thing is with the Falcons, it's like the Falcons fans, they don't. The ones that were badgering us as we explained to them that Ritter is not the future, he's not the answer. They were doing something that you had mentioned. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, they're doing it year 1. Joe Burrow, year 1. Tua kind of had to take some a little bit time. Herbert, year 1. Like, we all knew that this guy was a dude. Like, we all knew that this guy was going to start the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Ritter had a whole backup season, got in. I think he just started the last game, right? And then, but last year he had
he started like the last 5 games or so, 4
last 5
and
games,
even those games weren't impressive. Maybe he's had one game that's been impressive throughout his last 12 games. He's had one game where you're like, oh, he looks really good, and then the other games he's just average as hell.
I just reject the whole you need a whole season. I reject that. Yeah, I mean, the kids today are, there are 8th graders today doing 7-on-7 in high elite competitive ways. Like the skill set today is just different. Like you got it or you don't.
Well,
I think
the other thing about Ritter also is didn't he play multiple games in college?
I think he was like
Was he a
5-year
senior?
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he
that's another
had it.
thing. I mean, of course, Purdy's kind of a bad example, but if you have 4 years of college, maybe Tyson Bagent's are an all right example. Like they're quarterbacks that have a lot of college experience that should be able to come in to the league and see pretty immediate success. Like they might not have the talent, but they can hold it together.
Beautiful. Tyson Bagent, D2 guy, played a lot of football, and he's not terrible.
Right.
Like you could see almost immediately, okay, this guy's got something. Okay, we could work with something. Okay,
and how do we view Tyson Bagent? He's a backup NFL quarterback.
Yeah,
and so that's what we're saying about Ritter. Like,
if Ritter is a backup role guy and he comes in and then he pulls off a 16-13 win, that's good. Like, that's awesome. But if you're telling me, like, you're trying to convince me this is going to be your franchise dude for X amount of, like, you're just foolish.
He's Marcus Mariota. That's what he is. And look at Mariota. He's been a viable backup for, he had his moments as a starter, but at the end of the day, he's like a backup.
Ritter would be lucky to get to what Mariota was.
Yeah.
I'll say it like that. He would be so blessed and lucky. But we'll go to the next point. I just really want to say this last thing too. Falcons fans, it's a point to make this too. Like Bijan Robinson, Jake London, Kyle Pitts, Jonnu Smith, you guys also have to see them as like human beings. Like they don't like having a bad quarterback. Like they don't like they all know Taylor was the better one. Like it's if you're a pro, like like Taylor's the better guy, but we keep going with Desmond Ritter. That's why Arthur Smith had to change it at halftime, and I think y'all were barely losing, maybe. Yeah, y'all were barely losing. It was a 1-score game, and he's like, "No, we gotta move on." Like it's affecting the team. Like that's what fans I guess don't get. It's affecting the team.
And this team is a win now team.
They're good.
If you place Kirk Cousins on the Falcons, they would be a top 4 team in the NFC.
They'd be deadly for sure.
So it's like we don't have time to be sitting around waiting for the Ritter project to succeed or not. Like we need wins, especially in an NFC South that's very winnable. It's very easy. So you got to come in and start winning games.
Yeah. So that's it for the Falcons. You guys had your floor. I'm taking my victory lap. It feels good. 49ers getting Chase Young for a second rounder.
Third
rounder.
Yeah.
2024.
Montez Sweat went for a second rounder, and Chase Young went for it. And the second rounder was from the Bears.
And it's more expensive too, right? Because Montez got paid, I think.
No, they have to. Both teams would have to pay each of the guys. That's why the Commanders offloaded them. But Montez Sweat, he's going to be a top 40 pick, and then Chase Young got for a third, and I mean that's a third rounder, but
like a 90 guys.
Yeah. So I thought that was crazy.
That it is crazy because I mean I know Chase Young because Joe Burrow gets picked first, Chase Young gets picked second. There were a lot of skeptical rumors, like, could they pick Chase Young very, very early into the process because we were bad that year. So it was like, we'll get Chase Young. I think he might have been, it was always Herbert, then it was Chase, and then it was Joe. That's kind of how it fell in line media-wise. And for him to just a Ricky run, and that's it, that's crazy. He was getting, like, not generational comps, but he was getting... If this guy figures it out with these tools, he is going to be the next dude, is what he was getting, essentially. And then figure it out. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I feel, and I might not know that much, but we're talking about a guy that went number 2. He's only 24 years old. His issues in his career has been his injury proneness.
Yeah.
And, I mean, who did the 49ers trade for last year before the deadline? Christian McCaffrey. He's yet to be hurt. And so I feel as if Chase Young is on the field, that third rounder is nothing to them, especially on a team that, what's a third rounder going to do for the 49ers? They're going to get some backup that's never going to play on their team. So you get a guy that, they're struggling on the D line at least a little bit, especially on the run game. And so
Mm-hmm.
you get a guy like Chase Young for a third. I take that all day as a 49ers fan.
Yeah, and it's and I also saw rumors of like they were saying he was always looking for the splash play or something like that. Like all these rumors came out, of course, after he leaves of the commander's staff, pretty much rumors saying, he would break off the scheme route to make a flashy play or like make the money play or something like that. So there was a coachable issue too that was being kind of an issue also. So hope I mean 49ers need anything. I guess any help they can get, which is so weird because the 49ers are the Ravens of the NFC, except their quarterback is just way better. I think culturally though, like they're always going to get the big trade. They're very aggressive. Like they have a good defense constantly. If there's ever a reason why they're not doing well, we know why. Like you could point at the issue because everything else is so like intact.
Right.
The 49ers are so aggressive with going to get talent. How do you think they're going to be after this bye week and knowing their history of, in the beginning they're pretty beat up and they're not so great and then they kind of take off. What's your assessment of how they're going to be after this upcoming bye week?
I'm not worried about them for them. As a Cowboys fan, I'm worried. I'll put it that way. I mean, they got the bye week. They can, revitalize. They got Chase Young, and they should be fine moving forward. We're still going to be talking about the 49ers as a top 5 team with that roster. They'll figure it out. And I'm looking at their schedule right now. I mean, they lost to the Browns. I was hot on the Browns this year. Their defense is incredible. They lost to the Vikings, and that was at home for them. That was a home game for the Vikings, a team that had their back against the wall. Like, they needed that win a lot more than the 49ers. And you could say the same thing about the Bengals. I mean, that's a team that they need every victory they can get in the AFC, and then they also played them in a game that Burrow appears to be at 100% health. So, they had dominated the Cowboys just a week before all this happening. And I just feel like they kind of have a tougher schedule, and we knew that they weren't going to go undefeated or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it's all kind of smoke to me. I think they're going to figure it out. They're still going to be a 11 win team, but I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, so that's good to know you're not falling for the smoke. I'm not falling for none of the bull crap of, I mean, of course, and Trent Williams and Debo didn't play. Of
Yeah.
course, all that really illustrates is that Brock Purdy isn't that guy. Like, if that's your excuse, essentially, like, but he is good. I do like Brock Purdy. Not that guy is being disingenuous to the fact of he's not elite. He should never have been in the MVP race. He should have never had an MVP vote. It is clear as day. And if for whoever was voting for him and whoever put him up there, it is just a clear indication you have no idea what you're doing. You can't give someone like Brock Purdy a first round MVP or a first place MVP selection. You can't do that. And then he loses 2 All-Stars and Trent Williams, and he has a game where he didn't have CMC and he didn't have Debo, and then he just falls apart. Like, you have to hang your hat on that L. I hate that people do that. I hate that he's so high in the MVP like voting race or whatever, and like we don't know how he got there.
I don't know. I don't know if like gambling or sports books placed him up there, but I mean, in the media, he was definitely being talked that way. It's the same people that kind of got baited by Jimmy G. It's all that conversation where they're saying that Jimmy G is a top 10, top 15 quarterback. Meanwhile, he's got all of the weapons around him to have success. And another talking about sportsbooks also, like all these past 3 games, I predicted or I bet on the other side of the 49ers because, like you said, you don't have your number 1 left tackle. You don't have Debo. It changes a lot. And then, their defensive coordinator also left for the Texans. I feel like that, and you had talked about it in the video, but that appears to be the biggest gap with the issues on their team. It's not really, their offense or whatever. Because
Yeah, there's a bad the scheme that Steve Wilkes, the DC for the 49ers, is doing. It's just off. There's just he just changed everything. There used to be a situation where it was like kind of like a 4-2-5 thing, but Fred Warner and Greenlaw would be pretty much in the, I guess, in the A gap. That's what you would call it. They would be stuffed in the A gap, and you would have to kind of guess what they're going to do, if they're going to blitz, if they're going to both. So, but that's gone. Hottest. We'll do this first. We'll talk about the hottest games of the week. And then we'll talk about McDaniels briefly, and then we'll go to the hottest teams in the AFC, NFC. Cincinnati versus Buffalo. Oh, let's do this. Kansas City versus Miami. Kansas City is headed to Miami, I believe.
no, it's this is in Germany.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's a
Yeah.
neutral site. That's good. Neutral site. Both of these offenses are pretty how do I say
High firepower.
yeah, firepower, very, what's the term where it's like high scoring, but it's back to back. It's like a type of
Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
anyways, these offenses are going to be able to put up a lot of points.
Shootout.
What's your shootout?
Yeah.
It's going to be a shootout. Yeah, thank you so much. I was killing me.
I know that would have tilted you for
There's
the
no way
rest.
I was going to keep going. I don't even know what I was saying before that.
You would have
It's
left.
going to be a shootout for these two teams. I think it's going to be the first defense that cracks, the first defense that breaks. It's going to be a defensive game, I think, because the Chiefs have, I think, probably they have a really good defense.
They're
really good defense.
They could be like top 5, honestly.
Yeah, and then of course Miami. I think they also have a good defense, even though
Ramsey coming back.
Ramsey coming back. He got a pick. So, what is your assessment of this game? What do you think is going to happen in this game?
I would say.
Does it matter? Does any of it matter? Does winner or loser matter?
I would be concerned for the Chiefs if they don't win. Mm-hmm. If they don't win, I think that whole offensive weapon argument is kind of valid at that point, because they just lost to the Broncos. Them losing to the Dolphins also would be kind of bad for them. I personally think the Dolphins are a better team than the Chiefs, but the way it is week to week, to me, it seems like the Chiefs should bounce back this game and win, is how I view it. So I'm concerned for the Chiefs offense. Like, you got another year of Travis Kelce, all these other receivers that they have, I believe is an argument. Like MVS, Sky Moore, Rashee Rice,
oh my God.
Watson is out. I don't know when he's coming back, but these are just dudes to me, and they got to figure something out. And I know Mahomes was like sick or whatever last week, but I mean, you can't really just score 9 points or however much against the Broncos. Mm-hmm. So,
I don't. He was sick, so that I guess to an extent that definitely matters. I do agree with you that if I had to pick which team I'm gonna lean to win or that needs this win, I think the Chiefs need this win more than the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are. See, it's tough because I want the Dolphins to be better, because I know that I believe that the Bengals are better than the Dolphins.
The Dolphins were my Super Bowl pick coming into this year. It was Cowboys Dolphins was my Super Bowl pick, and I just feel like the Dolphins their offense scares me a lot more than the Chiefs. If I had to play the Dolphins, I'm more scared of them than I am Mahomes, or not Mahomes, but the Chiefs offense in general. To me,
I might see. I think the Chiefs are still better. Like, if I would be more scared of the Chiefs still if I were the Bengals, because the thing is with the Dolphins, and of course they're pretty healthy right now. I know they lost A-Chain, but they are kind of just one and I hate to say it but it's like just one hit away from it being a entirely different game. One hit away, whether it be with Tyreek or Waddle or Tua, and I think there's also a physicality. I think the Chiefs might win, which is gross, and I don't like that because they should lose. But I think they're gonna win. I think they're gonna figure out the win. I think the defense is gonna be too aggressive. I think Chris Jones is gonna get into Tua's face probably way too often. I'm down for low scoring game. I'm down for that. I don't know how high scoring it might be because I think both defenses are comparable, like are gonna be able to compete.
The over under is 51, and the Chiefs are favored by around 2 points.
Man,
I'm gonna go Chiefs to win.
You're gonna go Chiefs.
But
I'm gonna go
like
Chiefs.
I said, long term I have more faith in the Dolphins. I'm more scared of them in their roster. I believe that the Chiefs offense is they should have kept Tyreek or something. Like they got a little cocky with the whole receiver thing, thinking that they could replace him. I mean, the receivers this year, we'll talk about that. They're huge to a team. I mean, Tyreek, he's about to break records. Yeah, with that, like you said, if the Dolphins lost Tyreek, their whole offense is just not as scary anymore. Same thing with the Eagles. Like, look at AJ Brown. That guy, 115 yards in the past 6 games. If Jalen Hurts gets in any sort of problems, he just tosses it up. AJ Brown's there. He's just too big, and they can't defend him.
Same thing with the Bengals. I think if Jamar is out, it's way different.
Cowboys also. CeeDee Lamb goes down weird, in so much trouble. It's crazy. And so, I mean, the Chiefs, say like Kelsey actually goes down. He did earlier. If he's out for the season, like that's just Mahomes and nobody's to me.
I'm looking at the I'm looking at last year's draft, bro. And hindsight's 2020. We all know the saying.
Who did the Chiefs pick in the first round?
Let me paint you this picture, Alex. Let me paint you this picture, Alex. If you and I warped and we are the GMs of the Chiefs, first of all, like we already know what time it is. We already know what time it is. And we were able to get last year's draft and we saw it. You and I would be having a legitimate argument on if at the 30th pick of the first round, Alex, should we give our quarterback Patrick Mahomes, George Pickens, or
this was 2 years ago?
This was 2022. This is the 2022 draft. We can give him George Pickens. This is when Tyreek was gone. George Pickens, or we can give you Christian Watson for the Chiefs. But they went George Karlaftis, who's a defensive guy. He's not bad at all. But if the Chiefs did that and got one of those dudes, I think we're talking about. And they got Sky Moore in the second round. And something tells me, I mean, Sky was picked after Pickens and Alec Pierce, and then it was Sky Moore. Who knows if Pickens was about to get picked up by the Chiefs? That could have been something very, very scary.
I don't know how much cap they have, but I really would have liked to see the Chiefs get aggressive and get one of those receivers. Talking about Mike Evans, Devontae Adams.
Oh yeah.
Like to me, and then why on the other side? Why are these other teams holding on to this? We're about to get in the Raiders conversation, right? But it's like here's a Raiders team that they fired their coach, they fired their their GM. Their, I think, offensive coordinator now, and now they're going to their backup quarterback, but they're still going to put Devontae Adams out there. It just doesn't make any sense. They're doing all signs point to a rebuild, but they're keeping Devontae Adams. It didn't make any sense to me. And like I said, I might not know the cap situation, but I feel like you got to go get a guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure what it was.
It gives me cockiness.
I get arrogance for sure.
Yeah.
I 100% get the arrogance. I'm there with you. I think it's also And dude, Devon, yeah, I think they should have sold the farm. They should have figured out. You're talking about the Chiefs getting Devontae? Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm right there
And
with you. I
it
didn't
didn't.
think.
I don't even know if it had to be that crazy. It could have been someone like Jahan Dotson or something, like
Yeah.
kind of in that second tier. I don't have a list of receivers pulled up in front of me, but there had to have been some other guys that you could go get.
Hmm. And it could have been the
Even
whole thing
even
of
the
like,
Lions getting like Donovan Peoples Jones, he's pretty
yeah,
low, but at least the Lions went out there and gave away their 6th round pick to go get him. Like there has to be some sort of receiver out there that they could have snagged.
they probably, because we got to remember Kadarius Toney didn't really work out, and that was a player that they kind of aggressively went after,
Mm-hmm.
and then Mecole Hardman they just got from the Jets.
Yeah.
So maybe they're still waiting for that to kind of pan out into something. So that maybe they just haven't. Maybe they do think maybe it's not arrogance, but maybe it's just like a true form of like, I think we have everyone here, but it's just not translating on the field. So we'll see. I think this Miami game it's going to tell us everything.
Yeah.
Everything absolutely we need to know.
Like you said earlier, I feel a lot of these games that come this week are going to provide storylines moving forward.
Bengals are at home versus the Buffalo Bills. It's going to be in Paycor Stadium. It's I can't. I'm gonna be too cocky about it. You started.
Yeah, I
off.
was gonna say, you want me to go?
Yeah, you start off.
Okay, guys, I'll put it this way: I have placed a pretty hefty bet that my first one was that the Bengals are gonna make the playoffs. I love that bet a lot.
What was that at?
Minus 150 to make the playoffs.
Okay.
Which to me is disrespectful. Another bet that I really like that I gave out is the Bengals win the Super Bowl at this point. And so you already know where I am on this game. Bengals at home playing a beat up injured Bills team. Once again at home. Joe Burrow appears to be 100%. We all know that the Bengals start off slow, whatever. We saw what Burrow did to that 49ers team. Everything looks back into place. And so I feel like we could see the Bengals start skyrocketing and getting a bunch of victories at the end of the schedule. So this is going to be one of those games to me. I feel as if the only benefit that the Bills, I guess, have right now is that they have extra time. And then the Bengals just played the 49ers. And we know that record last year of like, if you play the 49ers, you get beat up, whatever. But it doesn't feel the same way. Right. Yeah. So. And then the Bengals have also had the Bills number the past, 2 games. And maybe that's a case for the Bills. Maybe it's like, all right, we're going to show up now, but I don't believe in that. I think the Bengals should just like, this is going to be the game where they prove that they're in that conversation of Super Bowl again.
So I'm looking at the Bills' schedule and who they have played. And I can't think of a big time heroic game that Josh Allen has really ever had, except for that AFC divisional game. It wasn't even the AFC Championship, which is like so disgusting.
It's funny. It's funny you mention that because one of my friends said that it was the conference championship, and I'm like, the Bills didn't go to the Super Bowl.
Dude,
what are you talking about? No, there's just this narrative out there that it was a bigger game than it actually was.
Well, they lost to the Patriots this year. I don't know what you think of the Patriots. I don't think it's very high. They lost to the Jets. That's not really impressive at all. That's not great. They lost to the Jaguars. Their most impressive win is a 48-20 victory over the Dolphins. I don't know what the story is with the Dolphins there. I feel like someone may have been out that was crucial. I can't remember, but I mean, let's say we give them a Dolphins. We give them a divisional win. All their other wins are the Commanders, the Raiders, the Giants, and the
And that
Buccaneers.
Giants one came right down to the wire as well.
Right, right.
I know
Like,
I'm a Cowboys fan, but here are three teams that we've dominated. The Jets, that was 30-10. The Giants was like 40-0. And then who was the other team they lost to? Or
y'all or
that the command or the Bills
oh,
have played.
y'all
Jets,
be
Giants. Oh,
Patriots.
Patriots. We
Yeah.
beat 38-3. And then you got
Yeah.
the Bills over here getting all the media hype like they always do.
Oh, wow.
This is
Don't
this
do
is the
Wow.
high echelon team, and they struggled against the Giants. They barely won. They lost to the Jags, lost to the Jets, right? And then without Aaron Rodgers. And then what was the other team?
Patriots.
Too many teams. Patriots, yeah.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, it's like what's gonna happen is the Bills are more than likely about to get the doors blown off of them again, like in the playoffs last year. And they're gonna get exposed, and then they'll beat the Broncos next week.
Yeah.
And then they'll get that hype again.
I also feel the Bills to me are just so injured. That's another thing. Like Tre'Davious White is out. They got a corner.
Milano,
Didn't they?
Matt
They
Milano's
get. Did
back.
they get? They got the guy
Kyrie,
Douglas
who?
from the Packers. The Bills did.
Rasul Douglas.
Yeah. He's on
Okay,
he's
yeah.
on the Bills now.
That's
But
good, that's good.
he's out, and then they lost Milano and Von Miller. I've been saying this, like, dude's done. He's done. I have a Bills friend. He's like, dude, once we get Von Miller, bro, like, you're gonna see the shift in our defense. Dude's played like 50 plays this season and he has one tackle, I think. I just
We don't like Von Miller slander on this podcast.
I know, I'm sorry, but it's just the honest
But
truth.
you're right. You're right.
It's
though.
all right. How old is he? 34, 35? Like you've had a great career. I'm not trying to talk
we
shit.
We do not like slandering Von Miller. We do not do it.
It's all right, man. Like it's you've had an impressive career, but like it's about the time. All right? All great ones come to an end at some point.
Dude, chill out, man. Calm down. All right, let's move to the next game. I'm with the Bengals on that one. Too easy, beautiful cover girl. I will be in Austin, Alex, this upcoming weekend. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I will be in Austin, and I will be with an individual. Okay, we're gonna be watching the game together.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know until probably maybe Monday night or Tuesday morning that this game was even happening. I just blew through, like, it's just here.
Yeah.
Like, usually at the hype 3 weeks in or like before the game starts.
Yeah.
But they started the hype really early. I'll go first and then you go. Who's home?
Eagles are home.
It's in Philly. And
this is also the first game where like both teams are healthy against each other. Because I would say our last like 4 matchups have all been,
there's a story.
It's like Hurts is out. Oh, Cooper Rush. This is actually a game now this time.
And it's a primetime slot too, right?
Yeah, it's at the 3:30.
3:30. Okay. Man.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be a good game.
This is of the 2 games we've talked about. This is the one that I feel the least confident in results.
I'll say
put it that way.
this is the best way for me. I'm not confident at all. I think both of these teams they're both dominant, both powerful teams. But I'm gonna showcase how it's gonna go. If one team starts out hot and the other one starts out slow, the hot team wins. Right?
Yeah.
The hot team's gonna win. If they're both slow, I think the Eagles will win. If they're both hot, I'm gonna give the edge to the Cowboys. Because there's something about when the Cowboys are all clicking.
Yeah.
It's it's so potent to me because it's tilting. It's tilt because it's like shit, like nothing is stopping them. Their role is scarier to me than the Eagles' role. So I'm not gonna pick. I'm not gonna make a pick on this game just because I don't really. I mean, I would just be guessing. I can't even give you an educated guess. I can't even
Yeah.
cross out X amount of factors. I think Dak. I mean, I used to. I'd never really understood fully the Jalen Hurts, second best quarterback in the league bullshit. Never really liked it. Never really bought into it.
It was a
Um,
little overhyped for sure. I mean,
yeah,
I think he's top 10. I think he's a franchise quarterback, but
for sure.
placing a guy from the 26th, 20th best quarterback to number 2 within one season to me is just a little wild.
I mean, it goes back to the same MVP Brock Purdy people, whoever put him there. For anyone to put Jalen Hurts over Joe Burrow in any
Mm-hmm.
capacity is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
But um, I if Diggs was playing, if Diggs was still here with us, I'd go Cowboys for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eagles secondary has been looking rough.
Yeah.
Bird, or Kevin Byard,
Biard, I think.
Yard. He had a rough start last week that he played, but him and uh, Sidney Brown, who we interviewed at the Senior Bowl, they're going to be back there. So it's the secondary of the Cowboys is looking better. Bland is good.
Yeah.
It's an interesting game.
I've always been really hype on Deron Bland. I'm not shocked about his performance so far. He's been a guy that I've said earlier in the season, if he's your CB3, like we're feeling really good. And, now he has to step up and play every snap. But, yeah, I'm with you
What's
too.
your
I predicted the kind of the downfall of the secondary of the Eagles. I mean, you got two older corners, like they're going to regress at some point. One guy that's going to be, we talked about breakout dudes. A breakout guy in this game is going to be Brandon Cooks. Like, this is a guy that has tremendous speed that should, it's going to be difficult because we haven't really seen consistency out of the Cowboys passing, but Brandon Cooks is a guy that has potential to have that game that we've been waiting for, and this should be it. I've talked about it in other videos. Brandon Cooks, 50 receiving yards within 5 games, whatever. Like, this is a guy that needs to step up in this game. Maybe it's on him, but whatever.
I would also piggyback that with, okay, the X factor for the Eagles is going to be Devonta Smith also. Like, if y'all don't have a plan for him and he's getting loose, he's doing his thing, because I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is y'all are going to probably overcorrect for AJ. Like, let's try to see, let's make Jalen make the harder throw. I wonder what y'all are going to do early, if y'all are going to stack the box or if y'all are going to just play whatever y'all normally play and just hope your guys beat their guys. I'm just really interested of how the game just pans out. How everyone's just gonna play everybody. I think it's gonna be a freaking fun game, though.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be so fun. I think this is the most fun game out of the week because the
It
Bengals
might
will be
be
the
almost like out of the season. And
yeah.
I could be biased, but like
Well,
this.
unless it's the second one. Like, if this one, like, I would like, this one's gonna be awesome if we get like an overtime, or if we get like a long field goal to like end the game or something along those lines. That'll be awesome. And then probably the next matchup would probably be even bigger if every team is still healthy and doing their own thing. So let's briefly talk about Josh McDaniels, and then we'll go into hottest AFC team, hottest NFC team. Well, we don't think. I mean, there's like, if anything, my thought process on it is like, it took way too long,
Yeah.
and it should have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I were the first whistleblowers to kind of be like, "Hey, Basashia did a good job. Let's just what's wrong with giving him like a 2-year thing?
In a world where coaches are so hard to come by, and you have a guy step in, I know there's some biasness here, but a guy step in, take that team to the playoffs, and then to go a different direction. I almost feel like if you take a team to the playoffs, you deserve to be the head coach. Especially given the talent and the division that they were in, all the factors, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, and if you remember that year, that was Gruden getting fired. That was
that's what I'm saying.
Getting arrested.
Yeah,
that was that one corner also getting arrested for having guns and shiznits. Like there was a lot of stuff that was happening, and Rich Bisaccia kind of just became a head coach overnight and took them to the playoffs and against the Bengals, who ended up going to the Super Bowl that year. So it's like if you take all that into consideration, like it's fair to be like, hey, Rich, you want to come back? But it was like Mark Davis, however horrible he is as an owner, kind of just being like, oh, I'm going to get a Belichick guy and let's get Josh McDaniels because he did so bad in Denver. He'll do great for us. And we're in Vegas, you know? I hate to see a man get fired. I'm not saying I'm happy that he's fired, but I am going to say I'm happy that I'm right again. You know, like I just that makes me feel good. Hottest AFC team. Who do you got?
I mean, I was going to say the Bengals, but I feel like we've kind of like tooted our horn on that team already.
I mean, it's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact. Like it's to beat the 49ers on I think it was 11 home or 7. I think it was 11 home game win streak, actually, something like that. And we snapped it. They had 11 straight home games of wins, and we snapped it. And I was very not optimistic about it. I kind of was just going in there with an open mind and but it was that playoff. We got to get it done. Energy all the whole time. And then listening to the mic'd up. It's so crazy. I'm so happy mic'd up is like an actual thing now, because at times where I'm like, at times of peril, in my point of view, at times where I'm like, oh my gosh, they have to be so mad. They have to be upset that they got that. They like the defense made that bad play. You hear them talking and they're like, dang, like we'll get it this time. Like the amount of confidence the Bengals have, it's infectious, and they're all confident because the defense literally says in their brain, they're like, we just got to give the ball back to Joe. Like that's literally their like goal. That's all they say is like, at any means, at any cost, get the ball back to Joe. That is their motivation. And then the offense is just like, we'll just score.
Yeah.
And so when those two things are clicking, like we all said this, like if the Bengals figured out their offensive line, what's actually going to stop them, honestly? And so, and it looks like Orlando Brown Jr. coming from the Chiefs, who was a starting left tackle in the Super Bowl that he won, like it's massive. And so I got to go. I mean, we're not tooting any horns if the horn needs to be tooted. It's the Bengals for me, though. It's the Bengals.
It kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. You got a team. Burrow's hurt. I'm hearing some crazy shit on TikTok when I made that video. Put Burrow at number 2 quarterback. Someone said, "Oh, he's not top 10." I'm like, what are we doing right now? And you know, he's not full health. The Bengals, like I said, have started slow in the past, and now we're seeing the power that this team has. And to me, they have full reason to be a team that is going to be in the Super Bowl this year. Like some people got fooled in the first 4 weeks, and you know, they might not have thought that this team was, you know, good or as good as they've been, but this is a team that is deserving of being in that conversation now with, I guess, depending on results with the Bills, but you know, they're in the conversation with the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Ravens, like teams like that have a chance at the Super Bowl. I guess there's another team that we could talk about that I don't know if they're going to be in my bubble is the Jaguars. What do you think about that team? Because to me, there's 4 teams. It's like Chiefs, Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins. Those are my probably 4 teams that if you fast forward to the Super Bowl, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I saw this. Any other team, I'd be pretty stunned. I think the Jags might be one of those teams still.
The Jags, for me, it sucks, but they have to do what the Bengals did last year, I think, or 2 years ago. I think they have to do that for me to really get behind them, because what I'm scared that I'm doing and I'm not seeing is that if Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence were in this draft together, and Joe Burrow was taken, and I have to deal with Trevor Lawrence fandom back and forth, I wouldn't like Trevor at some point, and I would hate that because that's exactly what happened with Justin Herbert. I do not think that the Charger situation and the Herbert and Charger situation and the Jaguar situation is the same, but I think it's similar. And or at least I feel the same way that like it's gonna fall off at some point. Like with the Chargers, if the Chargers ever got hot with Justin Herbert, blah blah blah, I'm like it's gonna fall off at some point. And I feel the same way with the Jaguars. And it's not warranted, it's not fair, but they have to almost damn near go to the they have to go to the AFC Championship for
Yeah,
me
I think
to
I'm there.
constantly or really accept them into this new umbrella of like top AFC teams. And honestly, I don't think I really have your list is different from mine. I would take all of them out. I would keep all of them in except for the Dolphins actually.
Hmm.
I think the Dolphins are very it's just the two they could be beaten. Like there's a blueprint of it. I just don't think many teams that are bad can do it. I think it's the elite of the elite teams that are going to be able to get into the faces of Tyreek and of Waddle and disrupt Tua and have a good game plan for their defense to stop the run. But I say all that saying like I need to look at more games of the Dolphins. I'm just looking at highlights pretty much for them, so I need to
Hmm.
look at a full, thorough game of the Dolphins. But the Jags and the Chargers kind of feel like they're a similar team to me right
I
now.
mean, they played each other last playoffs, and their game looked very Charger Jaguar-y. So
Yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah,
two teams
yeah.
that were just kind of throwing the game back and forth at each other. So
Mm-hmm.
I see that.
So
I mean, ETN has been amazing. I think we need to see a little
Eckler,
bit more
Eckler's awesome, dude.
out
It's
of
like they're so similar. They're the same
yeah,
almost.
yeah.
NFC. Who do you have as your hottest team? It's the Cowboys, man, for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same.
They're just the fact that they're not beating teams. Hold on, let me move my Bible. Hold on a second. They're beating the dog shit out of teams, bro. Like they're not just they're convincingly, and that's the thing. You could be like the Bills to get all this hype. I'll just go on your points again. Barely beating a team like the Giants, barely beating a team like or losing to a team like the Patriots, and then losing to a team like the Jets, and then you know when I see the Cowboys again in all those matchups, I'm like, okay, they'll beat the Giants. Didn't know it was going to be that bad. They'll lose, or they'll lose to the Jets, or they'll make it interesting. That wasn't the case. And the Patriots, like, oh, Bill Belichick's nope. And it was just this like beat down.
Yeah.
The 49ers game really killed a lot of y'all's like
But it
media
also
hype.
could have been, yeah, it could have been a eye opener for the team as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
the us losing to the Cardinals to me was just like whatever.
I forgot about that already.
Diggs got hurt. Yeah, I almost did too. I like looked at a record. I'm like 5-2. Who did we lose to again? Yeah, you like forget about that game. It's kind of a wash to me. Even going into it, I was like a little bit afraid. I'm not gonna lie. And the 49ers game definitely was kind of where you see that the narrative is that we need to play up to some of these more of elite teams. And I'm with you. I think if we get an early lead, we're terrifying because we're one pick six, fumble six, whatever, and we're just It's what we did against the Giants, right? Giants kicking a field goal, block it, take it to the house. The game's over. We won. Same thing with the Rams. We get Deron Bland interception, first quarter, game's done. It's done. They have no chance. And so, yeah, like you said, we're not really a play from behind team. That's when I'm going to get scared. But if we can get the ball, take the ball, and just, I think we need to like take the ball in the first half, go get that touchdown, and just play from ahead the whole time. Yeah. And yeah, once we have that, if roles are reversed, I think you as a Bengals fan, if you're behind, you're like, all right, we got Joe Burrow, we're okay. He's gonna still like get us back. If we're down like 17-7, I'm already like, this is over. We're gonna lose. Like, I just have no faith in our offense to just like really play in those games. But like you said, we have a top 3 defense still, and we have a good run game and everything. If all is working correctly, we're really scary.
Last question for you, and you are right. I do have Joe Burrow, so it feels so good, man. Just having that like weight, like, oh, I don't have to worry about anything.
Right? Yeah, I can imagine you going into like a halftime. Bengals are down 10-21, and you're still
21-3 against the Chiefs. How about we do that one? Because that story's been, how about we're doing a 21-3 Chiefs at halftime and being like, oh, we still got it.
Yeah, see, for us, it's like all momentum's done. We're not coming back from this, and so I think you have that, but yeah, we don't have that.
What should or what do you think will happen with the Commanders and their head coaching? Is everything kind of dead and buried for this team?
They've to me, they've shown that they're moving a different direction with the whole. I think Bieniemy came to the Commanders to be the head coach.
It looks good.
Yeah, they do. The only thing is that they have been passing a shitload, but I think it's just them being behind and everything. Yeah. And maybe it's like that Kellen Moore effect where he wants to prove something and he wants to score a lot of points, whatever. But yeah, I think trading away 2 of your D linemen for picks kind of shows, hey, we're not in that conversation this year. It's more of a long-term thing. And Howell, to me, is a franchise guy. We've talked about this before. I like what I see out of Howell. But I think Ron Rivera's done. Jack Del Rio should be done, and it should be Bieniemy season. I don't know, sooner than later, I would say.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you.
I always thought they were kind of just an average team going into this year. Like, if I'm a Cowboys fan, even them beating us last year, I was just like, whatever. We're already looking forward to the playoffs, is how I viewed it. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people got too excited about that Commanders win with Howell, but they always kind of just seem like a mediocre team to me. But I see the potential. I mean, if you get Bieniemy, you got Howell, then they become scary to me.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Giants. Like, if they get a new quarterback and, get more offensive weapons, then I'm like, all right, this team, we should have this discussion. But I talked about it with the Giants and the Commanders. You go into a season where the Eagles and the Cowboys are in your division, that it's not fun for them, right? they're not going to get. They're going to lose 3 of those games, so it already kind of puts you behind.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think Ron needs to be. It sucks because you like the guy, and he's been successful in Carolina. He took a team to the Super Bowl. Cam really did it.
I was gonna say, is that just a Cam effect at this point?
It's a Cam, but that defense was good. That's what he is. He's a defensive guy, and the defense was good for them to get to the Super Bowl. So I do Cam, and I'll do the Ron. I think it was a joint thing. But yeah, he's a defensive guy that's been a head coach, and he is. If he's not given a Cam Newton, like he won't. The offense will never be right. He can't get the offense right for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Even when Cam took him to the Super Bowl, that offense was pretty shit.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, what did
And
they?
that,
They only scored like 10 points or something.
but all I know is Cam had crazy records, but the weapons he had was just like Braylon Edwards, Ted Ginn Jr. at the back end of their careers. Um, but I think you're right, Eric Bieniemy. I think this was his hey, get acclimated to the city. It kind of sucks because it's like Ron Rivera is kind of working with the guy that might take his job, and it's like kind of weird. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe Bieniemy just wants to be an offensive coordinator. The fact that he doesn't even have a head coaching job is just weird. I don't think it's a race thing at all.
I
You know,
really believe that he came to the Commanders to take the head coach job.
okay.
Because if to me, I don't think he was going to get the respect sitting on the Chiefs. So like in my head, he's like, I got to get out of town. I got to prove myself. And now he's proving it because, like you said, the offense looks good. I mean, they're going toe to toe with the Eagles and teams like that. Like they're putting up points on offense, and we're seeing Howell like really, have a season this year. And I don't know if there's many other like offensive coordinators that could be doing that right now. So,
yeah, I agree. That is all we have for you guys this episode. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and go to that other channel, our Real Friends in Football main channel. It is it's a good channel. Go ahead and subscribe, like to it, and thank you guys so much. And we'll see y'all next time.
alrighty.